929202. Anyone wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing nothing, we'll move on to packet review. Actually, I guess it's items for discussion. And Mr. French, I think I'm going to turn this over to you to kind of guide it. You've got several things in the packet here for us, and if you have some suggestions on how we should best proceed with it.
Okay. Chris French, Director of Community Development for the Borough. I know this is my first meeting, so I don't think I've met all the commission, but I've met some of you, so I just wanted to say hello to all of you, and this is my first meeting, so thank you, and take it easy on me a little bit here on the first one, so we'll hopefully not struggle through too much. So what you have before you for items of discussion are related to the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. My understanding from talking to staff is that there are some changes that at the staff level that were proposed. You have that in the draft. That's the FY 2024-04 revision 6.28, which added some language to the definition of accessory dwelling unit. You also have the Anchorage Municipal Code regarding accessory dwelling units, and also proposed commissioner changes that were submitted by commissioners for review, and then the current Kodiak Borough Code 17160 related to accessory dwelling units. One thing I will point to the commission and let you all know about is that there's been some discussion, I think, at the assembly regarding short-term rentals and that impact. I know there's some discussion here with regards to short-term rentals and ADUs. I would just maybe caution the commission a little bit. We may want to wait to see exactly what the assembly does with regards to short-term rentals before we propose changes to go to public hearing to the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. Wait and see what happens there. I believe it's not going to be heard at work session tomorrow. It's my understanding it's going to be sometime in October that the assembly would look at that. Other than that, I mean, we certainly can talk about the draft that staff has put together, as well as the commissioner's comments or changes that were submitted.
Well, we have the mayor here. Perhaps he could come and give us some additional information on what the assembly's got cooking on this.
Good evening, Scott Arndt. Right now, it's just a discussion item on the work session to see what the assembly's feelings are. So I don't know what that's going to be at this point here. But it was just it was a question that was raised, so put it on the future agenda for work session discussion. So we'll find out more, and I don't remember exact date on there either. We had moved some stuff around in agenda setting on last Tuesday, so you can check with the clerk's office and find out exactly when that is. But I agree with staff's recommendation on waiting a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we'll turn it over to the commission discussion on this, but just my initial perspective is I don't think there's any rush on this. You know, something we could take an approach and see what the assembly's doing. But I don't know, any commissioners who want to go ahead, Paul?
Thank you. I believe the discussion on this could easily take a whole evening. So I don't know if we want to embark on it with the other, what we have going in other items, but there's a lot to unpack on this. So I doubt if we're all in agreement. So, anyway, okay. That's my opinion.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm looking at what is, I believe this is a little confusing when I was looking at the packet before, but what is proposed by the assembly in the ordinance that is drafted here. And I guess my question would be, maybe to the mayor, or to staff, if they have any insight, is what sparked this draft resolution, and what is the intention of this draft resolution? I know it hasn't been discussed at a work session, but really, what was the nexus and the origination of it?
Yeah, I think that came from us, or from staff previously in our prior discussions. And Seema is here, she, go ahead.
So that's the draft resolution or ordinance that you guys have been looking at the whole time. It hasn't changed. That was what was submitted in last month's work session. It is the ordinance that would go to the assembly. When you did yours, Mr. Van Dyke, you just wrote it up however you wanted to change it. When we did since day one of talking about this, we've always had it in this form.
So I guess my question is, and to Mr. Cross's point, yeah, I think that we could spend a lot of time on this tonight, and we have a great packet to go through. I just don't know why this is coming to the assembly at a point when it hasn't even left the commission.
Well, it's the way it works. If we want to adopt something, we can't change the code on our own. We make the recommendation to the assembly to change the code, and we give them what we think it should be.
And that's what I'm saying, we haven't even made a recommendation yet.
No.
So why would this even be on the assembly's work session?
It's not.
Yeah. Let me just point out, so it's not going to the assembly work session regarding ADUs, it's the discussion about short-term rentals. So it's a broader discussion beyond just accessory dwelling units, but all dwelling units. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's going to be a broader discussion about short-term rentals in general.
And I do apologize, like I said, I'm looking at this and it looks like it's got an FY 2023 ordinance number, and it was referenced as an FY 2024 number. So it appeared as it was already on an assembly agenda.
Yeah,
Seeing
what we did was the previous ordinances, and since we're now on the FY '24, we're using the '24 number for it. So when it is ready to go for a public hearing before the commission and then onto the assembly, it'll already be in the FY '24.
The footer has FY 2019.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's pretty confusing. It's got FY 2024 in the agenda, FY 2023 on the document, and then
Okay.
19 on the
Yeah.
footer, so.
All right, anyone else? Do you know what the agenda's like next month? Do you have any cases coming up for it? I mean, would it be?
I think we have, looking at Bronwyn, we don't have anything for next month?
As of right now, we don't have any current cases. We'll have the item for discussion.
Yeah, well, maybe
Okay,
we just
yeah.
punt this till next month, if, it could be the only thing.
I mean, one suggestion I would have, and we're going to make sure we email this out to the commission, is that there's an ADU document I wanted to give to everyone regarding accessory dwelling units from AARP National. It's a very good document, not just because it's in color and it looks pretty, but it has a lot of good information in it. I think it'd be helpful for the commission to see that, and if you would like, I can certainly look at the current ordinance and some of the changes that you're looking at and make some suggestions. When I was in Louisville, we did a major amendment to the accessory dwelling unit ordinance there, and there's things that we can look at and discuss.
Yeah, I think that would be very helpful. Yeah, you could send around your article and, yeah. Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chair,
Paul.
yeah, so I had somebody ask me about the proposed changes, and I recognize that I'm the author of many of these changes, and I would like to provide a memo to staff outlining the things that we have discussed, but in a written form to go along with the packet.
That sounds
I don't see
good.
any problem with that.
Thanks.
Okay, let's then move down to packet review. First one is case S 24-001, request a subdivision of US Survey 3099, Lot 23A, creating US Survey 3099, lots 23A1 and 23A2. We have a staff report, please.
Yeah. Let me pull up mine on my computer here. problem. My computer decided it's not going to work today. So let me go through on the screen here. We'll go through it with the staff report. So this is a proposed subdivision to subdivide one lot into two lots. In your staff report, one of the major issues that was brought to our attention from the city of Kodiak regarding the utilities was regarding the water line that runs to the existing home on the existing parcel. It does run through the part of the property where the new lot is proposed to be created. And the city of Kodiak stated they wanted to either there be a new water line that would run to the existing home, or that a water line that exists be put in an easement, and then a new water line, of course, would run to any new home on the new lot when it's developed. In addition, the city seemed fine with the sewer line, although there is some questions regarding, from service area regarding how you could run another sewer line through the existing easement. So we will follow up with that with the city and see what information we have, as well as work with the surveyor on that. In terms of service area comments, we did get comments from the service area after we published regarding the existing driveway on the proposed lot, how steep that is, and staff working with the service area believe we probably need to add a condition that the existing driveway access point be removed. As part of the proposed plat, they do propose an easement as a shared driveway for the existing driveway. We will need some for additional information at the request of the service area regarding the how steep the existing driveway is, and also information on a landing at the existing driveway and how that would be expanded to serve as access to the new lot.
Okay, any questions for staff? Paul, go ahead.
Thank you. I guess I'm just looking at the plat here, and I'm just wondering, I know you probably can't answer for the owner, but it looks like the water line crosses, kind of crisscrosses the smaller lot that's proposed to be cut out.
Correct, and that's related to the city's comment regarding the, either the need for an easement or a need for a new water line for the existing home to be basically all on. It's either have it all on the remaining lot that's going to be left for that home after the subdivision, or to put the existing line in an easement. And then you would have to do a new water line for any home that's constructed on the new lot.
Yeah, thank you. It looks a little difficult from a development standpoint. And then as far as the driveway goes itself, that driveway is down to the existing mobile home. I'm somewhat familiar with it. We don't really have any development standards for driveways on property, so I'm not sure what, as far as what the service district wants to see from a change to the driveway. I'm not sure.
I think the concern was just how steep it is in relation to wanting to do a new driveway off of it, and then whether you had sufficient landing for any vehicles that were going to come off the existing driveway and then go on to the new lot. In addition, as you mentioned, with the water lines, you may have to be using that easement that's for access also as for utility easement. It also talks about it for utility easement on the plat. That could certainly be for power, but it could also potentially be for the water line as well.
So I guess my question is that what rights do we have to impose on the developer to make a less steep driveway on their own property?
I mean, we have some, I don't know if we have an exact regulation that would say, you have to be, you can't have it more than this steep. I think we need to look at it and make sure it can be developed appropriately as access. They are doing a shared access, and they really would make it, it's almost impossible to create a sufficient access off of the existing road for that lot based on how steep it is. When we were looking at that existing driveway that the service area recommended be closed, it was over a 40% slope. So you really couldn't use that as access to the lot, and we can provide, guidance and restrictions on regarding whether you can access the property or not as part of the subdivision regulations. So we can instill that in whether it's sufficient access for it, especially when it's in a shared form. So I think we do have some guidance there. In terms of having how steep the driveway is going all the way down the lot to the home, I think there's less of requirements there in the code.
Yeah, thank you.
What about for fire equipment access? Is that, like making that right turn there onto the,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the part of the concern about having a landing for the, for the shared driveway is, how is that going to work for emergency vehicles, but also just access to that property? Because they will, if they're going to put any kind of home on it, they're going to have to go through the shared driveway to access that.
is Mr. Fagan or someone representing him here? Doesn't look like it. No. All right. Any other commissioner comments, questions? Chris?
My only question is, I'm a little bit confused about the driveway issue. So I see on the plat here, there's a driveway that goes to the mobile home. And then there's some dotted lines over to the new platted area, or soon-to-be platted area. I guess that also comes off of Spruce Cape Road. So I guess what was the comment about the driveways? It needs to be shared?
So it would be a shared, what they're proposing on the plat is that it would be a shared driveway. They're not going to use that existing driveway that's shown on there because it's too steep. That was the question, also, that was the comment we received from the service area, was to close that existing driveway that basically would serve that proposed lot and go in line with what the applicant is proposing, which is to have a shared access easement at the front of the lot, and would be a shared, now in terms of how the driveway actually comes in there, that's some more discussion with regards to when they get a driveway permit and they're going to construct a home on the new lot. That will be part of the development review at that time.
Okay, and just one more question. Sure. The WX on the plat, is that the water line?
Yes.
Okay.
There's the W for the water, and I believe the XS one is for the sewer line.
Oh, okay.
That goes to the existing mobile home that's on the property.
Okay. That's it.
And I believe there's also there's an EX line too. That's the electrical for the power going to the home. And in the staff report, there's photographs of the power line coming into the property and going to the home.
Paul, did you?
I did. Chris, I really do appreciate you walking us through this. So I guess what I'm looking at is that, like I said, I've been down to this mobile home a couple times personally, and I've come down next to, on the driveway that is adjacent to lot 24A1, so on the far right side of the property, come down that driveway. And so it looks like the new driveway is what is proposed that comes across lot 23A1. And I guess I'm confused because the driveway that I came down, that long steep one, that's what's hash marked out for the access and utility easement.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like what you're saying is that really the driveway on lot 23A1 is going to be the shared driveway.
No. So on proposed lot 23A2, up at the street, they're proposing an easement there where you would have the shared driveway. The existing driveway that's on lot 23A1 is the one that, in the staff report, I stated is too steep to use.
That's the one that's going away.
And
Okay.
that's the one that the service area has requested that be closed.
Okay.
That we have a condition of approval on that.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
On a survey, I see coming out of the, sort of the left-hand corner of the mobile home, there's a line that has SX and runs over to a sewer easement. So I think
Correct.
that might be
That's the sewer line there.
sewer line, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
water, it's kind of strange. It comes down off Spruce Cape Road, and then it makes an abrupt turn and goes down to the mobile.
Yeah,
home.
and you also see, if you look where the mobile home is and off to the right, it looks like there might be some kind of connection to the lot over there.
Yeah.
That's where the power line comes into the home.
Yeah.
But it also looks like that's most likely where the mobile home came in onto the property, because when you look at any of the photographs of the driveway, there's no way you're getting a mobile home down that driveway. They added that mobile home off of the property next door, off to the side. That's the only thing that made sense when we looked at it and looked at the existing driveway.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ken.
Just a comment on an issue like this, it's nice to have this big piece of paper. Everybody's looking at it, and we're all referencing it. So for future, in the future, please continue to do this.
Well, good, I'm glad we did good on that one, so yeah, we'll continue to.
You didn't mess
provide
that up.
for you. So.
Anything else? All right, let's then move to item C. Applicant Friends by the Ocean requests the rezone of U.S. Survey 4935, Lot 1 and 2, Isthmus Point, from C Conservation to RNC Rural Neighborhood Commercial. Isthmus Bay, Lot 1 and 2, from C Conservation to RNC Rural Neighborhood Commercial District. Brookers Lagoon, Lot 12, from RR1 Rural Residential 1 to RNC Rural Neighborhood Commercial District. Have a staff report, please.
Yes, I will point out to the commission, you did receive some comments, public comments that came in after the publishing of the packet. So I'll just make you aware of those so you can take a look at those comments that we received. I think in terms for the work session tonight, I mean, the biggest issue we have to look at with regards to a rezoning is the review against the comprehensive plan, and in particular the future land use map. In your staff report, and maybe Bronwyn can put it up on the screen for us, there's a specific map in the comprehensive plan for Kodiak that shows this area, and it also provides a recommendation for the area to be rezoned to the zoning that's proposed by the applicant. That's why in the staff report, staff was supportive of the proposal, because we do have the future land use map designation or recommendation here for the zone. And so, I mean, it always makes it easy for staff when the flume is in line with what the proposal is. And so, if you have any questions, you know, we'll do our best to answer those. I believe it's not a public hearing, so we can't take any comment necessarily from the applicant, but I believe they're in the audience.
Yeah, and we typically, at least if there are questions from the commission that come up, that, you know, it helps move things along. But, Ms. Friend, did you guys get these extra comments that came in today?
We did not.
Roman?
I was just going to ask, do you want me to go get them?
If you would, please.
Yes.
Yeah. And we just take a short break here while she goes to get that.
I got extra copies. I can give those to them. Okay.
Why don't you take a few moments to look those over while we see if any commissioners have questions of staff. Go ahead, Ken. Excuse me, Court.
So, you feel like it's compatible with the comprehensive plan as far as for Kodiak and everything? Is there anything specifically that was noted? I've looked at the comprehensive plan, but I don't remember looking too closely for Kodiak. Is there something specifically about addressing the availability of some commercial property out there that
I mean, the biggest thing we have is, you know, there's a unique map that is for, as part of the future land use map that is for Kodiak, because the comprehensive plan does break out, you know, there's the general future land use map that's in there, but there's also those that are for specific areas of the community like Kodiak. So it was actually, we had a map that was kind of zoomed in for this area for the future land use map. It has specific recommendations for future zoning for the area, and and it is in line with
Yeah.
what's proposed.
Like stores or whatever could be put in there for this.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the, a zoning map amendment, we're looking at, is this particular zoning district and all the uses that are allowed in there, is it compatible? What does the comprehensive plan say? Specifically, what does the future land use map say for the area?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other question, Chris?
My only question is, I feel like we did a case very recently with this property, I feel like, or was this the same property?
Well, it was the two lots that are right off the road.
Okay,
They made them both be 5 acres, I think. was,
okay. Oh, because they had to be a minimum of 5 acres to be
Yeah.
some sort of zoning. Okay.
Yeah, they needed to be that size to meet the minimum size for the proposed zone.
Okay, got it.
All right. Well, seeing and hearing nothing else, does anybody, go ahead, Court.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
I see the friends there.
Yeah.
Can one of you friends approach the podium, answer a couple questions? Have you read the
I'm Gerald, and
letters?
this is Brenda.
Have you guys looked at the letters in opposition at all yet?
No, I just got them.
Okay.
I can comment on that.
Okay,
This
go ahead.
Friend of friend. We are not interested in buying up all of Chiniac's property. What we have is more than we can handle. We were searching for our daughter and son who were moving from Palmer over to Chiniac, and Chiniac's a small community, so we were looking on their behalf to find a family home for them. They had found one. We helped them with that purchase, but it brought 2 more children to the Chiniac school. And quite honestly, we have no intentions of buying up any more property out there. So I think it takes me about 4 hours to mow my lawn right now.
So as far as some of the other stuff that I read on these just quickly, and I just read them really quickly, we're doing everything through the Corps of Engineers, through DEC. I've had contacts, I've actually had the Corps of Engineers on the property and walk the property with me. The septic systems, we bought one septic system for these properties out here that's $15,000. It's actually a processing plant off into it. I am a certified septic installer. We're doing everything by the book, by the codes. Everything is right. I don't build any other way, but by doing it right and following through with everything. We would invite anybody that wants to come out and look at it. We're working out there every day. I enjoyed the break today because I've been working till about 8 or 9 every night out there to get this done. But it's been a work in progress and changing. When we did the commercial is mainly for what we call the wellness center in the winery. And the wellness center, what we're looking at for the wellness center is massages. We've got some doctors that want to come up and do some stem cell injections, just a few different items for the well-being of people. The winery is just a tasting winery. It's mainly going to be for the clients using the property. You come up and have a glass of wine, it's a tasting winery. It's not a winery, it's a tasting winery. So it's very low key. We're not adding stuff to the property. It's just the comprehensive plan had it in there with what we wanted to do, which changed in the last year, 6 months, a year, to where we came in to get the zoning compliances. We weren't able to do the wellness center and the winery without going to a commercial property. It just makes sense to do the whole thing all at once, instead of piecemealing it out like we did on
But
there. So
this entire project is a place for local people to come, spend a 4-day weekend relaxing, where you don't have to leave the island. You just come out, have your own private little cottage, and be able to get a massage overlooking the beach, jump in an endless pool that has treadmills in it, take a walk on the beach. It's a place to rejuvenate. It's really not what a lot of people have perceived. We're not targeting huge tourism. We're trying to bring back a little piece of history to Kodiak and leave our mark, basically. But it is very low-key.
The property's got a lot of history on it. It took us, we've had it now for 5 years, it took us 3 years to clean up what, in the one letter in here, what was Lucasville and the Peace Training Camp. Everything that was built out there was built, they got no permits, no codes, nothing. It took us 3 years to clean up all the old septic tanks, all of the old buildings, everything out there. And we did everything according to all the rules that we could follow and do them. But it took us 3 years to clean that piece of property up so that it's presentable, because they were right. I mean, it was things that Lucasville did was a little rough, to put it lightly. It took a lot of work to clean it up. But it's all pristine now, and that's the way we want to keep it. Every time we cut a tree down, we plant a new one.
Thank
Great.
you. Any
Thanks.
other
No, that's
questions?
it. That
Okay.
covers it real well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, oh, Paul, go ahead.
It just seems like the RNC zone does cover the activity, the variety of activities. I'm looking at the code section here that have been talked about and planned by the owners. But in looking in, comparing that to the conservation zone, I guess maybe I'd ask, and I don't know if anybody in the room has the answer, but was the winery operating legally under the conservation zone? If that's what it was zoned before?
The winery was pre-conservation zone, so it was
Thank you.
not, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Makes sense.
All right, let's then move on to item D, the capital improvement project for FY 2024 through FY 2028. We have a packet and Ms. French?
I'll let Bronwyn, who's in communications with all those who submitted information for the CIP, go over what was in the packet for today.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Bronwyn. So we've been working with a couple of the different villages around the island, like we do every year. So if you go all the way to the working list, up to, I believe it's number 15, was what was previously done from last year's. And everything after that, 14, and everything after that is all of the new projects that have been submitted this year. We did require a couple of extra documentation when we were taking these from the different villages and other agencies, such as minutes and vetted numbers, so that we could get accurate bid numbers for these projects. So we're looking at real numbers that have had bids done on them. There was one submitted, and it was Carluck, and I thought I don't think I must have missed it, so that's my fault, but they didn't give us anything that was vetted, so I did not add them onto the list. I can definitely add them for next week so you guys can see the projects that were submitted, but as of right now, it doesn't look like any of the projects were vetted through their tribal. So I don't know if any of the numbers, are accurate for you guys to look at. But other than that, here's your guys' working list, and we can start working on it.
Okay, is there a list of the various entities that you sent the request to?
Every village in town, so all 5 of them did receive them. And if, I did show the memo, so if you look at that, it was sent to every entity in Kodiak for all
And
the
service
villages.
districts as well?
No, I don't believe so.
Good. something from the Women's Bay.
We had already had them submit, so, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. We did, so I did send them to the service districts, yes, sorry. I haven't had to talk before you guys before. So you had Women's Bay, and then there was a couple I think at the very end. If you look, there were 2 projects submitted. One is for a pedestrian for North Star, pedestrian pathways, and then their number 34 is another one that was submitted for the Bells Flats commercial truck route.
So that we're all on the same sheet of music, so to speak. I think page 29 of 49 is where the list that you referenced begins.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so the first, how many were just from last year's list?
I believe up to 14.
Up to 14.
Yes.
And so then,
So everything after that is all new projects that were submitted this year.
okay. So, any commissioner discussion?
I guess I have
Go
a
ahead,
question.
Paul.
Bronwyn, I also serve on the fire board at Bayside, and I did not see a request come through, so I'd be interested in following up with you later, see who you submitted that to, at the fire board level.
Okay.
Chris?
My question is, so our list from last year starts on page 29, and there are a lot of lists from the villages, I believe. I don't see anything else from anybody else, but City of Izinki has a lot of pages, in the Women's Bay. Were these the responses that you had received from them?
Yes, this is their submittals.
Okay.
So it's all in one working list for you guys to rank, and then after that, that's, it's all up to you guys. I just put them all into one list so you guys can see every project as a whole.
People in the audience, is anybody here specifically for this, want to be heard on anything? Doesn't look like. Okay, go ahead, Paul.
How many did we submit last year to the assembly, and how many did the assembly approve?
I do know that we submitted 15, and, sorry, you guys submitted 15 to the assembly. I don't remember what they took from the Planning and Zoning Commission for for your guys' recommendation.
Okay, and the reason I ask is, there is a number of them here on this list, and if the assembly's only gonna move 12 or 20 or however many forward, I don't see a reason to rank all these from 1 to 35.
Yeah, perhaps the mayor, since he's here, he could give us some insight. He's distracted.
I was asking.
Do you have a sense, does Assembly anticipate a set number that's going to be on the ultimate list?
It varies each year, depending upon the assembly. I do not see 30-some projects going forward at all. So
What's your best guess of a reasonable number that we might look at?
12 to 15.
12 to 15, thank you.
And it won't be a list of every project in every village. It will be 1 or 2 from each, period, on there. So, it's always been one of those interesting, it's kind of like the capital improvements list is similar to the nonprofit funding. It goes all over the place before something is settled on.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yeah,
Thank you.
as much as you usually are.
Bronwyn got a question?
I just have a statement for the commission. So last year, you guys took two projects from each village to add to your guys' main list. And then after that, we had 2 projects that I did take off of the list because they were completed. And so that was North Star and Peterson. So those 2 projects you won't see on this list from last year's.
Which ones were those? For North Star and Peterson?
Yes, it was the Peterson roof and then,
North Star siding and window.
yeah, and then it was the
Okay.
siding for nursery, yep.
There's potentially a new project for the North Star roofing replacement.
Well, go ahead, Paul.
Just to respond to that, so I mean, are we going to see that? You said a potential project, are we going to see that, or is that going to show up at the assembly level?
Since it's not here, I'm going to say it's going to show up at the assembly level,
Okay.
because I'll be pushing to get that on there. We don't have the funding set aside for the North Star roof, and we also have under design the East Elementary, older part of the roof, the metal roof, and the transition between the original portion of the school and the newer portion. There's a failure in there also, so we don't have the funds specifically set aside, so it would be my intent to see those on there. Thank you.
Well, I'd suggest that we try to keep it in the range of 12 to 13 or so, and that we just start with number one and go down if we, and if we want to keep it on or take it off, unless somebody has a better idea on how we can skin this cat.
I agree with you that
Okay.
we should look at limiting it to 12 just to save ourselves
Yeah.
some time
All right.
tonight.
So number one is the service area road and paving improvements, $10 million. Any concerns about leaving that on?
Nope.
No. All right.
I guess I do. I mean, is this list for the feds or for the state?
It's forever who will give us money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess what I looked at this and read this, and I know Otmala is on the state process, but it's been a struggle between the borough and the state to get that project going forward. I don't know why we're asking for more money when we're having a problem with that project right now.
Yeah, I think the general idea, it goes to Juneau and it goes to Washington DC. And, whoever, whoever might be inclined to send us some money. Okay, so we'll leave that. Number two is Mission Road.
Scott wanted us.
Yeah.
I could address the service district if you'd like. Scott Arndt, current hat, Service District 1 Chair. Basically, this is speaking to Service District 1. Woman's Bay was primarily where the money was looking to go. It mentions Bayview Service Area, Menasha Bay Service Area. There's some areas in there that they were looking at doing some work too. The intent is that there would end up being some match on this, local match, and it'll come down to which service districts are prepared to do the match. And at this point, it's going to involve an assessment, potential for an assessment area. Woman's Bay doesn't want to really do any match, so you'll see another project for them listed, which they're requesting 100% state funding for. And I think those will it'll be an issue there. But this is basically continuing. There was paving projects that went forward in Service District 1 in the past, and this is basically wanting to continue. Not all roads in the service district meet the design criteria to be paved, so many of the roads will not be. Otmala is that's a separate issue and has nothing to do with this line item here. That's an issue between the borough and the state. The state wishes to divest themselves of the operation, ownership, and maintenance of that road, and so they're proposing to reconstruct and pave it in exchange for no longer maintaining it. The question comes in on the adequacy of the design. So hope that answers your questions there. Thank you.
Shifting down to number two, again, this is primarily for planning. The city recently, or currently doing a little bit of resurfacing because it was so bad in the town side, but this actually includes Spruce Cape Road as well, the idea is to, so, okay to leave that as number 2? All right. Number 3, Mill Bay Beach access and recreation upgrade. Great scheme of things, this is a very small ticket item, but it is a highly used beach. Everybody okay with that? All right. Number 4, City of Larson Bay Reservoir and Spillway.
No, he's just going through this. So my question was, it looks like we got lists from Uzinki and Port Lions, but we did not get anything from Larson Bay, Akiak, Carlick. Is that correct, Bronwyn?
No, we did receive, so Larson Bay kept theirs from what they had from last year. Port Lions submitted, you also had, Carlick was the only one who responded back without all the required documentation. Everyone else either didn't respond because they already had stuff on the CIP list from last year and the previous years, or they did submit new ones.
Okay, well, then for the villages at least, I would recommend that we keep all their top items, which I've listed out. In Larson Bay, since it seems they did not submit anything else, they are still keeping this as their number 1 project.
Okay. So, okay to keep number 4 there? Yeah. Number 5 then, Carlick's community water tank distribution system.
So from last year, this was a non-vetted number, just
Okay.
so that you guys know that.
And then we also do not have their,
An update
an
from this
updated,
year.
or you said they didn't submit the documentation for it.
Correct.
So I would be, I would want to, move this somewhere, I guess, and not put it right there. If, they haven't even submitted the documentation for it. That would be my inclination.
And where would you propose moving it? Down below?
Down below
13?
12, yes. Somewhere in below the cutoff.
Yeah. By doing that, you would then, there's nothing else from Carlick on here, so you would, just so you're aware of that.
Okay, well, does anybody else have anything?
Court?
I was looking at it, it sounds like they have a tank there already, it's just installation costs, that sounds pretty like a reasonable figure, 250,000, it sounds like something that needs a lot of vetting, just to put in a tank. That's my feeling, of course, I'm not being vetted on that myself either, but I think it's okay.
Okay, I'm also fine leaving it. I
All right.
just was bringing that
Yeah.
topic up.
I would support moving that down to item number 12, and still leaving it on the list, but at the tail end.
Okay.
That'd be okay? All right. So that brings us to number 6, then, the City of Port Lions water distribution replacement and expansion. Okay?
With respect to the villages and their needs, I would, reading through all of these, Uzinki's electrical distribution system sounds like it's already failing. I mean, there's serious issues right now. So the western section of town is serviced by the same type of cable, and there's no possibility of delivering power to these residents, temporary or otherwise, when this failure occurs. It sounds like they have transformers that are rusting through, and I would move number 8 up the list, I guess is what the long and the short of it.
So,
I would jump that ahead of the City of Port Lions, but that's my opinion.
Okay, so sorry, we're talking about number 8. Okay.
well, we started with 6, but then,
I think that's what threw me off. Let me find 8. Okay, Uzinki, okay.
Are we going through the whole list tonight?
we're going to get down to 12.
We are?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not budget my time for this. I thought this was
Yeah.
sort of like a Harry, I want you to read through this,
Yeah.
and, because I thought last time you
Yeah.
did this, it was like a,
No, we're almost halfway there.
okay.
Yeah, that's a sort of joke, but as far as what Kent was talking about there, I read down the list earlier, and that their top priority project wasn't the transformers concerned, so it was a new shop building. If you look down there, they note that it's their,
Yeah.
Oh, the Port Lions?
no, in Uzinki.
Oh, Uzinki, I thought it was the municipal all-purpose building.
Oh, yeah, no, I think, well, I thought they said it was the shop building. Maybe that's the municipal all-purpose.
Yeah, that's number 14.
Okay, that's basically a shop building.
Which I didn't understand. I mean, they've got an electrical system that's failing, and they want to, I didn't get that at all. Why they put number one as number one. But
And then the electrical is number 2.
So Kent has suggested that we move number 8 up to 6 and then drop the others, down from there. Are people okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Bromley?
Just to let you guys know, you guys still have to pick number 5. Like, you have to move.
I think we were okay with number 5.
Were you, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thought
we
you
moved number
moved-
5 down to 12.
Yes, so you guys are,
Oh, all
so
right, so we're,
are
And
you
so-
moving Uzinki into spot number 5, or are you keeping
yeah,
it?
that would be correct, yes.
Okay.
That's the easy thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Slot number 6 would be
Yeah.
Port Lions.
is that okay? And then 7, Old Harbors hydroelectric project.
Sounds good to me.
And then, so we've moved 8 up. Old Harbor septic tank replacement, another relatively small item, so okay to leave that there.
So that, so item number 9 goes into slot 8.
So then, the Anton Larson Bay Road extension to ice-free water, it's been on the list for a while, but, okay,
I would boot that off the top 12, but that's my opinion.
and why?
It, I think $10.5 million is like a pipe dream. That's what it would cost to build that. Would be, I mean, it'd be horrible. It'd be 3 or 4 times that, I would guess, the miles and the difficulty of building that. But that's just a, popcorn estimate. But I noticed that I don't think Port Lions even had it on their list. And Uzinki had it like at number 9. So the 2 communities that would probably benefit the most from it don't seem to put that big of an importance on it. And it's, again, I think the estimate of $10.5 million is, there's no way it could be done for that. So, anyway.
Yeah, Mr. Delgado, was on the commission and spoke about that, and I think there were some matching funds that, he thought would be available. That's my recollection. May not be completely correct, but what do the other commissioners think? Our mayor's got some thoughts.
Which hat is he wearing today?
Yeah.
Mayor hat. Senator Lisa Murkowski has $2.5 million in her earmarks for this coming year for this, which, what that basically will do is probably clear the right-of-way, the length of the project. Uzinki Native Corporation has donated the property to this project, and they received a grant for $800,000, of which they contracted with the state of Alaska for doing DOT, for doing the preliminary design and peripheral estimating. So it is felt, they're feeling that it is a legitimate cost on there. So Murkowski skipped over it last year, but the discussion in Homer was that it was on her list for $2.5 million for earmarks for this coming year. So I think it needs to remain in the top 10 of some sort. Thank you.
Yeah. In the event the commission were to take it off, the assembly could put it back on.
Right.
Okay.
But I just wanted to give you that
Yeah,
update
right. I
on the
appreciate
funding.
that. Yeah. All right. So having heard that,
I
Nancy?
still find it interesting that Port Lions didn't even put it on their list, and Huzinki has it at number 9, but, I mean, and my point's still the same, $2.5 million is not gonna, I mean, you might as well be, you know, it doesn't make any difference what the number is, because it's nowhere near what it's gonna take to build it, but we can leave it right there, I'm not willing to fight that.
Paul?
I'd be okay moving it to slot 11, further down our list, but I would like to see it still in the top 12.
Okay. Is that okay with the rest of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, somebody keeping track of where we are now, number-wise?
Yep.
Roman?
You still have to pick a number 9.
Could you just briefly read the titles of the
Yes.
ones that we have now?
Yes, so you have at number 1, service area. Number 2 is, sorry, I'm writing in shorthand.
Number 2 is 2.
Mission is 2. Number 3 is the Mill Bay Beach. Then you have number 4 is Larson Bay, and I think that was a reservoir. You have Uzinki's Electrical at number 5. Number 6 is Port Lions Distribution. Number 7 is Old Harbor's Hydro. Number 8 is Old Harbor's Septic. You don't have a number 9. A number 10, you have Anton Larson at number 11, and Carluck, the Community Water Distribution Tank, I think it is, at number 12.
Okay. So we need a 9 and a 10.
Yes.
I need to excuse myself. I don't know the protocol for that. I didn't technically this being a longer meeting. Sorry,
What do we do?
it's a work session.
You just need to inform the chair that you're leaving. We still have a quorum, so.
Okay,
Thanks for coming.
sorry.
No, it's good.
Plan to hang around longer next week? So, for the two missing numbers,
I'm okay with 11 and 12, filling in space for 9 and 10.
yeah, that makes sense to me as well. Is that okay with the rest of the session?
I'm actually surprised the Friends didn't put in their 2 cents worth. Just their business plan, that would really help them.
Yeah. All right, so that's, got us down to 12, Roman?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So last year you guys did go up to 15. So that was what you submitted. You submitted 15 projects to the assembly.
So we don't have any, I mean, I don't see anything else from the city or the borough in here. It's all, I mean, from the borough government. It's all from, these are all village projects, and it sounds like, and then the Women's Bay submitted a few things.
And you do have the last one, I believe, number 35. Hold on, let me scroll down. It's a very long list. The pedestrian pathways for North Star was submitted.
Mr. Mayor?
One thing that you don't have on the list here that I think we might want to consider, because it'll be coming up at the assembly level, is the city of Kodiak's project of rebuilding St. Herman and St. Paul Harbor there with about $60 million. That's a very, it's probably going to move to number 1, is what I would see happening in the end. But I think it should be on this list. Just a suggestion.
Sure. Yeah, it'd be nice to have some narrative to go along with it.
I don't have a narrative for that. I haven't had anything submitted from that. So if you guys get it to me, I can get it to you guys if you guys wanted to not vote on this next week.
Well, we had to vote on it next week. We can't.
I mean, yeah, you're supposed to, yes.
I'd suggest just check with the city. They've got a lot of narrative
Yeah.
on it. Thank you.
So what are the thoughts on the commission, where we might put that when it shows up?
I would kick it to the assembly, let the assembly deal with it.
Not even put it on the list at all?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, again, did the city of Kodiak get a letter requesting information?
I believe so, and I didn't receive anything back.
Yeah. So we'll let the assembly. All right. So I think then we're kind of done with this. So that brings us down then old business. Oh, let's see. Yeah, old business, none, new business, none, communications. We just had the Mahoney approval letter. So we have our regular meeting next week here at 6:30. Work session October 11th, 6:30. Regular meeting October 18th. Looking down here, item 2 is the final plat that we talked about a little bit earlier, Chris. You know, the Friends by the Ocean that go in for the 2 5-acre parcels. So brings us down to citizens' comments. Anyone wishing to be heard? Anybody that might be listening in, I don't know if they're doing that, if it's possible. The number is 907-486-3231, local toll-free number 855-492-9202. Say anything? So staff comments, Mr. French.
So I did have this in one of the manager's reports regarding, and I think I talked to Commissioner Schmidt about this as well. There is a grant opportunity from the Housing and Urban Development for a review of zoning codes and planning related to housing, affordable housing, housing choice. The borough is going to be looking at what we need to do to apply for that grant. I believe, Brahman, did you hand out this?
Yeah.
So you do have this little 2-pager that talks a little bit about it. Staff is working to do that, also communicating with other agencies, either housing agencies or other agencies that we know need housing for employees and stuff. So we have reached out to them to either have them be in support of our grant application, but also those who may want to partner with us if they are a provider of housing for the community. So we're looking into that. We're also looking at a timeline. This grant has to be submitted no later than October 30th. It does not appear that HUD's going to be extending that deadline, so we will have to do that fairly quickly. As part of that, there is a public hearing requirement, and so we're working on a timeline for what we would need to do to get through the public hearing comment period and be able to submit that grant application. So most likely there will be a public hearing in October, but we're working on specific dates. Wanted to make sure the commission was aware of that. We'll have some additional communications maybe at the public hearing next week in terms of what are some of the scope. We're still working on that for the grant application.
Very good.
And that's all I had, unless you have questions on that.
No? Any questions? Go ahead, Paul.
So I guess, how far along are you in on the application for the grant?
So we're currently working with getting some feedback from some consultants that I know from down south regarding cost estimates for some of the scope. I did talk to several that thought the scope of work that I will talk about, I think, with the commission next week is a good scope and review of mainly looking at housing in relation to an update to our comprehensive plan, doing a housing element, doing a strategic plan for housing that's basically outside of zoning, but that would be for the community. And then as part of the third part of that would be some type of either implementation project or some type of pilot project regarding housing based on changes that may take place for the comprehensive plan and for the code as well. So there's a lot of moving parts there. We're hoping we're going to get everything together here at the end of this month so we can get this public hearing scheduled and get moving on it. But so far, when we've reached out to people from organizations, they've been pretty receptive to the idea, especially organizations that need housing for employees and so on.
Anything else?
I guess so. Are we going to have a discussion on this next week?
I will have a little more of a discussion next week. Hopefully I'll have additional information on a little more fleshed out in terms of what we're proposing.
Thanks.
All right. Any other staff comment? No. All right. Oh, commissioner comments. Mr. Cross?
Yes, unless there's quorum issues, I probably will not be here next week. I'll be on a Fognac. Now, it wouldn't be impossible if the weather permits to come back on Wednesday and then go back on Thursday, but I'm committed to a 2-week work stint right now, so if it was a quorum issue and I knew early enough and the weather cooperated, I could
So
make.
what do we, anybody know they're not going to be here next week?
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here. So,
Okay.
thanks for letting us know.
And then the second thing, it's unfortunate Ms. Johnson left, but when we're talking about these ADU guidelines, I'd be interested in having her give us some input. She has her pulse on the real estate end of the business. You know, what do ADUs do? Do people, has she sold properties with them? How they increase value? Are there many of them being built or added on? I mean, a little bit, I guess just some comments from her on if she sees any problems or good things, or, you know, just her comments on ADUs and within the real estate market.
Sure. We might be able to get something from the assessing department.
Yeah,
I have plenty to say.
that'd be great too.
Could you condense it to 1 or 2 pages?
I'm sure I could.
One thing I would point out is this document that we're going to email to the commission has a lot of good information. That's more national information.
Great.
I do have a meeting set up on the 25th, Zoom meeting with the director of Alaska AARP, so I can ask them if they have any information that's for Alaska itself. So I can talk to them about that, and maybe
Good.
I'll get that back to you all.
All right, very good, thank you. So, any comments, Paul?
Welcome, Mr. French. And,
Thank you.
Good job, guys, getting through the CIP list quickly.
All right, Court?
No comment.
All right, Chris?
So I spoke about this at the assembly meeting, I think last month, the pro-housing grant. I looked through it, and so it says estimated number of awardees is about 20, and it's open to every basic municipality in America, which, whatever. But I think we have a lot of stuff going for our community I think we could get this. And that would be amazing to get that much money for some sort of plan. Just, you know, with our type of population demographics, isolated nature, Kodiak. Actually, the EPA did this study on resilience, and Kodiak Island Borough was the #1 county resilient to climate change in all of America. We have a huge federal population, which affects the housing issue, and then, you know, Alaska is becoming more important in the future. So I'm very for this grant.
Great, thank you. Well, I appreciate the attention to the packet by the commission and help from Mr. French. Good to see you. And the comments from the mayor. So we will adjourn, and at 7:38, be back next week for the regular meeting.
All right. That went pretty smooth. That's the CIP thing, really.
It helps put a ribbon on it.
Yeah, it does. I was wondering how we were gonna do this. Yeah, last year, what I remember was the borough just said, the guys that run the assembly said, well, I don't see why we should put anything in priority over anything, let's just throw the whole thing in there, and that's what they did, if I remember. Because they thought they don't wanna eliminate any possibility of something, you know.
Wait, that's what the borough did?
That's what the assembly did last year.